What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a special edition of the 49K podcast, little special rapid reaction episode. Angie's looking a little different these days. In fact, Angie couldn't make the episode today, which is why we have here special co-host Jason Aponte, 49 GM's very own, Sprint Right Option podcast's very own. How you feeling today, Jay?
I am feeling like $1,000,000. And yes, I do want to say shout out to Angie. And there's no way that I could replace her. And the reason that I look different than Angie is because Angie is so much better looking than I am. So that's also why it looks like that.
All right. Well, obviously, we want to talk about the big news that happened today. We got a lot to discuss. This trade that happened. So the 49ers traded up to the number 3 overall pick. And to me, they didn't give up all that much, all things considered. So they gave up this year's number 12 pick, 2022 and 2023 first round picks, and a 2022 compensatory third round pick. Basically, they moved up 9 spots and still have all their 9 picks from this year, which I think is very beautiful. How do you feel about that?
I'm feeling glorious. So when you break this down, right? Okay, so you gave up 12 to move up to 3. That's fine because 3 is much more valuable than 12. So you're fine with that. Then you talk about that third round compensatory pick. And I'm so happy that you said that because that was acquired either by the Robert Saleh hire or the Martin Mayhew hire with Washington football team. Okay, so that's a pick that you didn't have coming into this. That's also genius. Also, those 2 first round picks in back-to-back years, all things considered, and this isn't me trying to look forward into the future or trying to say, dictate what's going to happen, but those picks look to be lower first round picks, not high first round picks.
Absolutely.
This feels like highway robbery a little bit, honestly. And I've gotten people that hit me and said, why didn't Miami ask more of you guys? And hey, I guess they're fine with it based on how their roster is constructed. And there's still first round pick value at the end of the draft. So even if you get those from the 49ers, you're still able to fill out your roster the right way. They were a 10-win team last year. So it makes sense in my eyes. But honestly, for the 49ers, this was an absolute robbery.
Right. I agree. And okay, it might be a little too early to say who won this trade because really we don't know until, the picks are made. And a lot of people now are shifting the focus of who are the 49ers going to pick because before at pick 12, it was kind of like they thought they'd go quarterback, but would they be able to, would a quarterback fall to them at 12? And now it seems they'll definitely go quarterback. So now who do you think would they be picking at 3?
I think it's Justin Fields all the way. And I think
yeah, baby.
I'm not trying to say I told you so, but I think it's been this the entire time.
It's okay. It's okay. Run your victory lap.
No, I mean, when you get as many things wrong as I do, you might as well take the one time that you get something right. No, honestly, I think it has to be Fields. The QB collective stuff is right there in your face. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's all been there. You don't have to worry about what pro day he went to. He's been seeing Justin Fields pro days forever. So this has always sort of felt like this was the move based on them not touching the quarterback's contract. Not extending him. It always felt like that. And then also when you line it all up, you have to line it all up in a way that makes sense in the year. You don't make a move like this to number 3 without understanding who is in that draft. And that's my point. I think that the bevy of quarterback talent that is in this draft forces your hand. And this was a crucial offseason for this front office. And if you thought it was an A- before, I don't see how it's not an A+++++ at this point, regardless of what happens. You can't predict how a player is going to react, right? But you can grade their thought process and their moves. And that's what makes this an A+ more than anything.
Absolutely. So obviously, at first, when this news broke, a bunch of fans just started speculating, and even NFL insiders started speculating. And most people did say Justin Fields, which I'm totally on board with. Some people were saying that Trey Lance would be a great scheme fit, which I would also be on board with. Super talented. And then you had Daniel Jeremiah and Chris Sims mentioning Mac Jones. So, and I'm sorry, Gustavo, I had to mention him because other people are mentioning him, and he is an option there. So, what do you think about that, Jay? Like, is that a legitimate option for them at 3?
Not at 3. No,
I don't
it
think
would
so
be a
either.
legitimate. It would be a legitimate option at 12. I had always been afraid of Carolina at 8, laying in the weeds and trying to pick a quarterback and things like that. So I always felt like at 12, if the 49ers sat there, they weren't going to get their hands on any of the 5. None of them.
Right.
And that was always my thing with that. So now, Mac Jones at 3. Look, safest floor, sure. At this point, if you're moving up, it's because you have a guy in your mind, and I don't think that guy is Mac Jones for them. I really don't. I really think that right now, Kyle, Lynch, this front office, they're swinging for the fences, and which is something I've implored them to do, even though they don't have to listen to me because what do I know? But I've implored them to try to take a swing for the fences. Safe is safe. You've been trying to be safe for a long time, and look where we're at now, and that's my issue.
Exactly. And to that point, I think, and a lot of people have said this as well, like, I don't think that Mac Jones moves the needle enough from Jimmy Garoppolo going to Mac Jones. Like, to me, that's not a huge difference skill set wise. And I think with the NFL going to the NFL in general is just more athletic. It's quicker. So I think Kyle is starting to realize that. And I mean, I think he's going Fields as well. Do you think there's any chance that Zach Wilson is not the Jets pick?
All right, so for me to say there's no chance means it's 100%, and nothing in this world is 100%.
Right.
I'm 99.9% sure that Zach Wilson will be the pick at 2. Let's say he's not, though. Let's say he's not.
Let's say he's not.
I love Justin Fields, but I will absolutely be fine if Zach Wilson is there at 3. And that's what I think the point is, Steph. I really do. I think that it's more about being in a spot where you get to choose between your favorite food and your favorite food. It's like, hey, man, if Justin Fields is there, you take him. If Justin Fields isn't there, you take Zach Wilson. I don't see how this is why you had to move to 3, because now you are in the driver's seat. There's only a certain amount of quarterbacks that can go before this. The 49ers put themselves in a position where they're going to land their guy, and that's what you need to be happy about.
Oh, yeah, and I'm definitely happy. And actually, back in January, Adam Schefter said that the Jets would be sticking with Darnold. Of course, we know a lot of things can change. Things change quickly in the NFL. But I think that would be interesting if they didn't go Zach Wilson with the second pick. And another thing I'm just going to throw out there is that the Jets are in a similar position as the 49ers were in 2017. They have the number 2 pick. A lot of people think they're going quarterback, but if they don't, they can maybe bait another team to trade up with them. So it's really interesting. I mean, Saleh saw Kyle and Lynch do that back in 2017. So I feel like they might be tempted to do the same. I don't know. Am I just going like full conspiracy theory there?
No, no, it's not. It's a great point. Think about this. And no matter what you want to say about the selection that happened, Solomon Thomas and how things played out, that's fine. That's up to you. And I'll leave that to you. But the idea that you baited them into moving up, and you wound up using those picks and you wound up getting value out of those picks later on, made it a good pick. And you know what? It's not out of the realm of possibilities that the Jets might want to take a look at Darnold, then pick up his 5th-year option if he succeeds in this offense. For me, though, I have a hard time believing that. And here's why. Sam Darnold right now is still cheap. You can still draft Zach Wilson and see what you have in Sam Darnold. So let's say Sam Darnold thrives in the Shanahan offense over there with the Jets. Let's say he plays. He's an invaluable chess piece that you can move now in a trade because you have Zach Wilson cost control for how long. So for me, I don't see the Jets moving from Darnold or moving away from this second pick. I think it's Ben Wilson. I think that part of the allure of taking this job when Saleh took his interview was, well, if I have number 2, I'm going to go ahead and get my guy. And I think that's the way that we should be looking at it. But it's not out of the realm of possibilities that Sam Darnold stays there for 1 year behind Zach Wilson And then, remember, his 5th-year option is costly. It is costly. So you run the risk of, let's say you bring in Sam Darnold, and not the 49ers, because I feel like that's off the table now at this point, unless barring something, insane, whatever. I'll end up on Old Takes Exposed. But here's the problem. Sam Darnold balls out in year 4, and then you take him in year 5 for $25 million, $23 million, whatever his 5th-year option is. You're betting on that year being not the exception, but the rule. And that's the part that scares me a little more than anything. But hey, for me, I think that it's just going to be straight up. The Jets are going to keep Darnold, and they're going to go ahead and draft their guy. They're going to see what they have with Darnold because Saleh's got a long leash. He's got that long contract, and things are going to turn. So that's the way I see it. So,
I mean, do you think that the 49ers know for sure who they want to target at 3? Or do you think that, they're still kind of thinking about it, but they know that they're going to draft one of the top guys?
I think that keeping themselves flexible is the best thing they could have done, especially when we just went over the draft capital of what it cost. And realistically, I think you and I both feel it's nothing insane. It's nothing egregious, right? Yep. Yeah. So that's the thing. So you put yourself in a position where it's like, man, if you like apples and you like oranges, one of them is going to fall to you. And that's all that matters. You just had to get to 3. That was always my thing. You have to get to 3 because after that, things get hairy. I don't trust Atlanta. Atlanta's probably going to be taking a quarterback. If it goes like this, don't be surprised. Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance. That could be your first 4 picks off the rip. By the time you get to 12, Mac Jones is gone. That's 5 QBs in the top 12. Not even counting the fact that somebody might get scared and draft Kellen Mond in the first round. You could look at 6 quarterbacks in the first round, which is almost unheard of.
But yeah. I don't think that's never happened.
No, but that speaks to this quarterback class and why you have to make moves like this. Say what you want about the way that you want to build this roster. That's fine. You want to build in the trenches? Cool. This year, you cannot do that. That's the point. And that's why this front office is giving me hope because they've changed the way they're thinking because they understand what's in front of them. When new information presents itself in front of you, you've got to change your thought process. And that's good life advice. Forget football advice.
People on Twitter could use that advice, just saying.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like they're in a great position to go best player available throughout the draft. And I kind of felt that way even before they made this trade. I mean, they covered up a lot of their holes in free agency. And when they started doing that, like I kind of got the sense that something big was coming or just that they would be aggressive. So this move definitely confirms that for me. And I think there's going to be a lot of trade ups for them during the draft. So I'm really excited to see what they do. But another side of this trade discussion is, what's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo now. So Adam Schefter did report that the 49ers have no plans to move on from him right now. I mean, people have been saying that. Also Steve Wyche, I think that's how you say his last name, right? Yeah, Steve Wyche.
Close enough.
So he spoke to John Lynch at the BYU Pro Day, and John Lynch basically said the same thing. But he did say that he would absolutely, entertain offers if they came. So what do you think is Garoppolo's value at this point? They're still kind of trying to play the, both sides of the ball here. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I think you want to increase Jimmy's value as much as you can. So realistically, like, what do you think would be his value?
So here's two sides of the coin, right? Right now, Jimmy Garoppolo has value based on 2019, based on the way that he's played, based on how many games he's won, right? Let's say he goes out there next year and has a subpar season. Not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it's in the range of outcomes. It is. Now his trade value is in the basement. I'll tell you this. If he plays next year, which I think he will, let me go on record in saying this. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starting quarterback week 1 for the 49ers. Week 1.
That's not crazy.
And honestly, no, it's not. But honestly, I think it's the smartest thing for this front office to do. Seriously. Jesus. So this is the smartest thing I think for them to do, right? You already have a roster that we all agree, many would agree, is probably one of the top 3 rosters in this league. This is a team that, even with Jimmy Garoppolo, whatever you want to say about his deficiencies and things like that, is an 11-win team. And you know how I know that? There were so many games last year that were lost based on quarterbacks throwing 4 picks instead of 2.
Right.
Like, just knock some of those picks off, and this team still can win. And that's absolutely true. It's not a knock at Jimmy Garoppolo. He's easily the best quarterback that's on this roster right now because it's basically him, Josh Rosen, Josh Johnson. And I'm not trying to be funny in any way. I still see him as a starter. I still see him as a guy who, when healthy, can lead them to 10, 11 wins and a playoff berth. But you also hedge your bets. You hedge the bet that if, God forbid, something happens to Jimmy Garoppolo this year again, or if, God forbid, Jimmy regresses, now you have a plan for the future because you don't want to be stuck next year. You know, let's say the 49ers win 10 games, 11 games. That puts them at the bottom in the first round. You know, and I know that pick is gone now, but I'm talking about the thought process.
Right.
And then you're stuck because this quarterback class doesn't look as deep as it does last year. I think it's just a perfect storm when it comes to contract, quarterback class, who you value. That's what's kind of got this going. So I've got Jimmy Garoppolo starting in 2021. If he plays 16 games, 17 games, and he's upright, this team wins 11 games. And that's me being nice. That is really me being nice just because of how good this defense is. Now the offensive line is improved. You can literally do everything that you want to do as far as scheme on both sides. So Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start, and this team is going to be competitive. Imagine being a fan of a team that could be competitive to the level that I'm talking about, deep playoff run, which is very possible, and still being set up for the future with a quarterback. Just the Chiefs were the last one to do it. Yeah, the Chiefs were the last one to do it. No knock on Alex Smith. They were perennial playoff teams anytime that Alex Smith lined up. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo can be. I'm not trying to compare them. Please don't kill me on Twitter about it. I'm just talking about situations. You pick Mahomes not because it's exactly what you need, but you see the vision and you see what happens. And then after that, if Jimmy balls out in 2021 and, you know, let's say whatever they want to move, his value goes through the roof. You know how many people would kill to have a starting quarterback? Some people are this close away from competing, and that's where I'm at with it right now. So Jimmy's going to be back, and if he balls out, then he just boosts his value. And who wouldn't want to root for that? Because if he plays well, that means the 49ers win games. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't think it's crazy to say that Jimmy Garoppolo will be starting week 1. I still think that's a possibility. And I really don't think they're in any rush. There's no pressure for them to move off of him. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it would be nice, but again, they don't need to. We've already seen what they've been able to accomplish in free agency with his contract. So they're not going to feel pressed to make any move that, you know, doesn't ultimately benefit them. So with that, another point that I want to bring up is that Matt Barrows pointed out that this offseason may all be virtual once again because of like the whole COVID thing. So for a new quarterback, young quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's offense, which we know is pretty complex to learn, it would be challenging for a new quarterback to come in, learn that offense in, you know, I don't know, a month or two, and expect him to start right away.
Well, can I give you a counterpoint real quick, Steph?
Yeah.
All right. So this version of Shanahan's offense isn't the most complex. It's not.
I know.
So that's always been my point about rookie quarterbacks. And I'm not trying to just like disagree with you or like, you know, but this is my thought process. I've noticed everyone notices the throws that are there. They're in basically every single passing concept. There are passing concepts where literally the quarterback has to slice the field in half, look left, look right, pick your side, and then cut the other side off. So what I will say about the Shanahan offense being too complex is that it's not too complex right now in its form. And that's always been my discussion about whether it's Trey, whether it's Justin, whether it's any rookie quarterback, is that coach is going to get guys open. You see him talking about it right there. Coach is going to get guys open, and he's going to understand. Yeah. So here's your best example of it. Kyle and Mike are in Washington. They don't want RG3, but they're forced to draft RG3. Well, what did they do when they grafted the offense towards him? Offensive Rookie of the Year, his best season ever. He'll never duplicate that. That's the type of stuff that I talk about with coach. It's like, man, hey, if I have to simple this stuff down, if I have to dumb it down for whoever, and I'm not just talking about Jimmy, please do not kill me. I'm not just talking, it's Nick, it's CJ, it's any of them. It's all of them. It's all there. If I have to knock it down for this level, he's grafted the offense towards people. That's why I am not completely opposed from a rookie. I just don't think that's the most ideal situation if you want this team to compete.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, draft a rookie because of that. I'm more so saying that week one, maybe that would be their reason to not have the rookie start. Yeah. So, yeah. So anything else you want to add to this discussion, or any other thoughts you have of the trade and what it might mean for the team?
Thank you for having me. That's first of all. I was honored when you said, hey, do you have some time to do this? So that's what I'm going to say first. But honestly, 49er fans should be excited one way or another. You really should. Honestly, you really should, because this front office, like I said, if you thought they nailed the offseason before this move, how can you not sit here and act like this front office isn't trying to do what's right for this team going forward? So I will pose the question to anyone out there. Do you care more about what you want to be true and your narrative, or do you care more about this team? Because right now, this front office, they care about the future and what's going forward. And that should make you excited.
Whew. Speaking facts right there.
Just trying to be calm. I was too hype on Lee. I was too hype on Leo's thing. It was too raw. The news was too raw when he did that. I've had a chance to sit and chill, so I have a chance to really try to
claws and
I mean, I don't know if it sounds like that, but it is 7:00 where I'm at. So yes, I am a little bit under the influence, but also I feel like right now, because I've had time to dwell on this and think about it in the right way and articulate myself, I think that this is the way that 49er fans should be looking at it. We should all be excited, man. I really do. I mean, any sort of negativity about quarterbacks taken in the first 4 picks, throw that out the window. You cannot base what you think about this quarterback group because one quarterback group failed. That doesn't make any sense. You are that's a straw man argument. Literally, straw man argument. Because it's the same thing with Justin Fields. No Ohio State quarterback has ever balled out. Well, who was the quarterback that balled out in Clemson before Deshaun Watson? Who's the quarterback at Cal that balled before Aaron Rodgers? Like, every college organization doesn't produce quarterbacks until they do. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm so good on Justin Fields, just because I see it. He's dealt with a bad O-line in Ohio State, and I just see the fit. It just, all of it matches up too much. QB collective, the way he plays, he's very tough. He played through a rib injury, which nobody ever. It's like everybody's like, oh, look at him playing at the end of this game, and he looked bad. His ribs were hurt. I don't know what more needs to be said. That's not an excuse. It's the truth. So, but yes, excited. You should be excited, 49ers fans. That's it. You should be excited. That's all.
Yeah, put away the hatchets. I mean, the 49ers are in a win-win-win situation, I think. So let's just, save the arguing for another day. Jay, thanks for being on today on short notice. All of the listeners, thanks for being on. Tune into the Sprint Right Option podcast and the Next 49K podcast.
No, tune into the Next 49K podcast. That's the one that's you don't need me. I've been yelling about the same stuff over and over. You need the new stuff from Steph and Angie, and I just tried to fill in for Angie, but I feel like I did. Like, if I gave myself a grade,
You're
living
not
up
as
to Angie
funny.
standard.
You know, you're not as funny as Angie. But,
I'm not.
you know.
C plus. I give myself a C plus. That's it. Truthfully, just C plus.
Hey, but I'm gonna leave everyone with this right here.
Oh,
This is Justin Fields' song right here. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Peace.